All right, guys, I just got a box in from Mako locks, and these are probably about some of the very first that are coming off the production line. Mako started producing a brand new padlock, and this one is a little bit unusual. You can probably tell from the cores in that it is a small format interchangeable core, or SFIC, so you can swap out your cores very, very quickly. Great in an industrial situation where you got 100 of these things and somebody loses a key. It makes it really easy to swap out your cores with a new key system without having to buy a new padlock. So very, very slick. For those of you who have not seen these before, this is an SFIC core, and this is the new Mako. They call these the M2. These sell for $29 keyed with one control key, two operating keys, and I'll show you how those work in a minute. And by the way, the padlocks sell for, I think it's like $25, $24.99, something like that. All right, for those of you guys who have not seen these before or don't understand how they work, you'll notice I have what's called the control key, and that's indicated by a C prefix here. A lot of times there's just a C stamped on the key itself. It only turns a little bit like that, and when you slide it into the lock, there's a little rod there that pops out, a little lever that kind of just barely sticks out the side there, but just enough to engage with a small cutout on the inside of the lock. It doesn't matter if it's a mortise cylinder, a key and knob, or a padlock. They all work the same way. So retract that little bolt by opening it, slide your lock inside of there, and then when you turn it, you just lock that core in place. Now notice this is the control key. So it doesn't actually open the lock. All it does is remove that core. So obviously this is going to be a very controlled item. You also get two operating keys, and as you can imagine, these work perfectly without removing the core. Now it's not opening this lock because it comes with an actuator. And I'll show you how this works on this little guy. When you buy the lock, you get this little actuator that goes into the back of the lock. Now this is a 6-pin core, and this lock can also accommodate 7-pin locks. So if you were to simply take this guy and slide him on there, notice it needs to be just a little bit longer to reach back to where the actuator in the lock is. If you use a 6-pin lock, you need a spacer. So rather than take a chance, we're just going to take this little spacer, slide him on there like that. And now when we slide that actuator in place, it's the full length of a 7-pin lock. And that's how they allow you to use either a 6-pin or a 7-pinner. Slide down the side of there, you turn your control key to lock it in place, and at that point, come out of there, your operating keys then operate just the way they should, and they turn the little actuator in the back to engage inside of the padlock. So let me go ahead and take that one out, put this one in, and let's see if we can't get it picked. By the way, when I placed my order, I also got a bunch of other freebies. That's all this stuff laying up here. A nice little adult beverage koozie, very cool, with the logo on it. They sent me a keychain so I can use it with some of my keys. And the last thing they sent me is a couple of these very cool little Mako stickers. All right, let me replace that core, put the actuator in the way it's supposed to be, and let's see if we can't get these new things picked. By the way, it may take a while because these new 6-pinners contain spool pins, serrated pins, T-pins, anti-bump pins. So the whole gamut is packed inside of this guy. And I know that's true because when I looked in the front of here, I see that the first key pin has a spool element to it. It's got a little cutout. So there's at least one of those advertised pins in here, but I would suspect that they're all in there. We're going to find out. I'll probably at least cut one of these open. Even if I can't get it picked, we're going to cut one open to see what's inside of here. So let me put it together and see what we can do with it. All right, guys, this is actually my second attempt. First one, I spent 10 minutes. I got no open. And I actually spent another 2 minutes before my wife came in and yelled at me. And so I actually got 12 minutes in this thing with nothing. So let's just keep flailing at it. A whole lot of clicking. It's a lot like, I guess, trying to pick a combination lock. 2 shear lines to deal with. There's a lot of clicking, but you don't know which shear line you're at. So I'm under pin 3 here, a little click. Kind of like one of those one-arm bandits, you know, you just pick them and you don't know what's going to pop up in the window. I'm getting no feedback. I've had a minor fault set. Pin 6. There we go. Just got under him. Come on. Okay, I just got a good fault set there. Now, I'm pretty sure that's a spool, so I'm now kind of counting on some counter rotation. If I can find it. Okay, that was 5, but that was not counter rotation. 6 has now come back down. Get around that corner. Definitely got a deep fault set there. Wait a minute, let me try to pull this out. See if I get lucky. Nope, not yet. Definitely a deep fault set. Almost turned enough. First, I thought it was the control level. That would be awesome. Okay, again, pin 4 all the way on the bottom. Trying to get under him. I'm going to try a different pick. Try this little guy. It might be able to squeeze under pin 4. I'm getting nothing. Wait a minute. It turned a little. There we go. All right. 12 minutes plus. See what we got here. Hey Siri. There we go. I got 6 minutes and 41 seconds. So about another 4 minutes. So 16 minutes. I got to say, these are pretty tough, particularly when you take into account that me getting in here was pure luck because I hit the right shear line on the 6-pin lock. Of course, pin 7-pin, it would have been just that much tougher. And the fact that I hit control level, which is for me very, very unusual. Usually I manage to pick them open, but not to control level. When that happens, well, the lock is then basically open. Let me find a flat tip screwdriver here. And when you look in there, you can see the actuator. So when it pops out, you take that, turn it in, and you can get around the actuator bill. And then you can turn it. This one is rounded for some reason, and then it should pop. There we go. It could pop open. All you do is you take the place of this actuator with the tip of the screwdriver. All right, I'll tell you what, guys. These are brand new locks. I'm still going to bust this one open. Both of these are still, since I picked this one, I'm going to go ahead and I guess figure out how to maybe take this clip off. Normally the way these are disassembled, you put them in a block and then you punch them straight from the top and all the guts then pop out the bottom. I don't have a block. I don't have a punch block. I don't have any of that stuff, but I do have a vise and a screwdriver and a large hammer. So I'm going to break this thing apart and I want to see what kind of security pins are in these new Makos. All right, guys, I think it was a little bit luckier than what I originally thought. In fact, I think I was incredibly lucky on this. You don't even see pins like this on the PKS system from Best on their security pin models. On the bottom here, what I think you originally said, these were supposed to be all nickel. In fact, only the key pins are nickel. So on the bottom, looks like we had a spool, and that was the one we actually saw from the very front. And this one's just a standard. Here we have another one, the spool, standard, spool, standard. So they kind of alternated on the key pins. There are no grooves cut inside of here to catch those spools. However, you do have this inner sleeve, which I guess in some respects would be a lot like a Ruco. Here are those bottom arm, or here's the locking arm that we talked about. And this inner sleeve slides inside of here like, if I get this lined up, like so. So those spools could indeed get caught on that inner sleeve. So they were justified in putting those in there. And then we have two different layers here. One of these is a shear line for the operating level, and the other is the shear line for the control. So a lot of really nasty stuff in here. So we got a baby T-pin here, a couple of these little tiny baby spools, and this little spool is matched up with a serrated in the upper chamber. So you don't really know which click you're at, which makes me say I was really, really lucky. This guy, same kind of deal. We have double serrated, so you really don't know, each click. You don't know if that's the actual shear line or one of these little grooves. We had a T-pin here, and I think one of these three T-pins is probably what gave me that deeper fault set, and in some respects, some false hope that I was getting closer. And then these last two guys, these are just standard pins. I don't think either one of these are those baby spools. All in all, a really, really nasty lock to try to get into. Multi-shear line in almost every single one of these is some form of security pin. So anyway, guys, there you go. The Mako, they call it the M2. The core sells for $29, and the padlock body sells for, I think it's $24.99. Appreciate your time, guys. Stay safe. Stay legal.